Well, folks, we're visiting today with Joelle Moray. She's with Integrate Wellness, a great company based out of Wheeling, West Virginia. Joelle, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to learn your story and learn more about what you're doing with Integrate Wellness.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, and Storymaker. With the help of these sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
Well, Joelle, tell us a little bit about you, yourself, and your business, Integrate Wellness.
Yeah, so I live in Wheeling. Business is based out of Wheeling.
Yeah.
And if I had to do a back of the napkin kind of explanation of what this is, basically we help organizations reduce burnout, improve productivity, and employee engagement, simply said. So we don't have to sacrifice achievement for our health, right? So we can be both high achieving and taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, that's important, especially in, it seems like in this day and age, business is very hard. Work is hard, probably harder than it's ever been. So I'm curious, how did you get inspired to do this business and start Integrate Wellness?
I love this question. First of all, my own lived experience with burnout, with working for large organizations and some smaller organizations as well. And noticing not only myself, but I started noticing a sort of pattern in everyone around me, my friends, my family, my colleagues, sort of this theme coming. Of course, I noticed first in women because I am one. So, just noticing like, man, all these women I talk to, they seem to have the same story, which is, man, I love what I do, super high achieving, and also sometimes it's a lot, right? And I started noticing this kind of theme, and I thought, wonder if I could do something about that.
Yeah, I love it. So take us back to that work experience. First of all, where are you from?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Ohio, but right across from Wheeling. Yeah. And I always say I'm from Wheeling now. So I've lived in Wheeling on and off since the late 90s.
Okay, great.
And I'm one of those people who leaves and keeps coming back to West Virginia.
So talk a little bit about, first of all, I love that. And what is your education background? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I have a bachelor's degree from West Liberty University in Wheeling. Right. And I have 2 master's degrees from WVU.
Yeah. What in?
So my first master's degree from WVU is in integrated marketing communications.
Yes.
And the second one is in clinical mental health counseling.
Wow. That's perfect. Especially for, how you're, the business that you're running right now.
Yeah.
So take us back to that journey. What inspired you to go back to school? Because you said that we were talking off air, like you had this epiphany, like, hey, I want to help people going through this burnout in the workplace. And then you come back to school. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, it was sort of a slow evolution, right? I started very, very small, kind of started sort of as a hobby. I've always been a community builder. Sometimes even in my career, that's what I was doing. Yeah. I worked for RED out of Wheeling, worked for the city of Wheeling, and I also worked for Appalachian Power. All 3 great organizations, no regrets or complaints anywhere. It's not a comment on those organizations at all. However, I really loved sort of bringing groups of people together. So I'm a yoga teacher, and I would do, little retreats, or, hey, let's all go take a day and, do a goal setting class, or, vision boards, that kind of thing. Yeah, sure. And it sort of slowly evolved over time. And that started around 2017-ish, 2018. There used to be this amazing yoga festival at Snowshoe, and I went there a couple times, and, it was just evolution of like, man, we really got to be taking care of our mental health, right? And then 2020. Well, actually, let me back up a little bit before 2020. My mom was diagnosed with early onset dementia. And my family and I believe that her struggles with mental health contributed significantly to the development of that disease for her. And so seeing her suffering and going, man, there's got to be a better way through life, right? And then 2020, like everyone else, got sent home to work. And like many other people, just kind of started evaluating, if the job that I was doing every day was taken away, which effectively it was, right? Like you go home, how would I spend my time? If I wasn't grinding away at this career, how would I actually spend my time? And, I saw this need, and I thought, I see a need in people to learn how to sort of slow down, right? And I have a passion for that. Yeah. Is this something, right? Is this a thing?
Yeah. Did you draw the Venn diagram? Like, here's what the here's what the market needs. Here's what the world. Here's what people are willing to pay for. Here's my passion.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
The intersection.
Actually, in Wheeling, Wheeling has a national program called Co-Starters, and that is a partnership between the Wheeling National Heritage Area as well as RED. So they partner together to run this program. And again, Co-Starters is a national program. But I took that program, and it's a 12-week, I think, or 15-week course on how to start a business. Yeah. And people come in there. Some of the people who take that course are already in business and they're looking to scale or whatever. Other people come in and they're like, I have this idea. Is this anything? And through the course of that, you sort of develop out your target market. Yeah. Is this a thing? You know, you test the market. And I went through that program.
Going through that program, was there a key element that you said, wow, like the light bulb goes off and you're thinking, yeah, I have something? What was that like?
Yeah, so that program tends to be a little bit like a mastermind where you kind of bring your idea or your challenge every week, and you've got all these people seeing your problem from a different way, right? And through those conversations, one of the conversations I had during that sort of mastermind scenario, I was struggling to understand, how do you monetize this? Right?
Exactly.
Do people pay for this? Yeah. Is this a thing? And it turns out they do.
That's a great question, by the way. Essential if you're going to have a business.
Yeah, right. And so, so there was this moment where to your point, the Venn diagram, here's what I see in the market, here's where my skill set is, the intersection of where those things meet. I didn't quite at first understand the economics of it. I had trouble coalescing that sort of. And it was through Co-Starters that I started having those light bulb moments like, oh my goodness, I get it now. Now I see this as a business and not just creating a job for myself, but actually creating a business. Yeah. And it all really came from that program.
See, I think that's a great exercise, a great opportunity that you have, because a lot of people don't think of that. Like, you're drinking a coffee, I'm drinking a water right here. Those are commodity items that, you can say, people would buy that bottle of water, they would buy that cup of coffee. But when you're selling almost an intangible, like a service, it can be a little tricky because how do I know what the price point is? And then you have the whole other aspect of, am I charging enough? Right?
Oh yeah.
What are my fees? And then you kind of get into that. I've seen it time and time again. I'm not saying you, but almost that imposter syndrome that's saying, I cannot charge for this because I don't see it. I don't believe it. But obviously going through a process, a mastermind, like you were saying, and I'm all about the power of the mastermind. Yeah. And Napoleon Hill, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's wonderful, and that is such a cool opportunity you had, because you've really tapped into a deep need that there is in the marketplace. You're solving a problem for people. For sure. I believe that's where the foundations of most successful businesses lie. Is finding that problem that you're solving for.
Yeah, it turns out a lot of people have this problem of burnout, losing employee engagement, that sort of thing. And it turns out a lot of organizations are seeking this kind of service, right?
Yeah. So. That's good stuff. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back. Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Voted best in Mountaineer Country for their reliable, high-speed fiber internet for a low cost, Breezeline is the best gig in town. Here at InnerAction Media, we rely on high-speed internet every single day to ensure we can deliver the best content possible for our clients and when we publish Positively West Virginia each week. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, fast, and they're great people as well. Learn more about Breezeline's internet, TV, and mobile options at breezeline.com. Folks, once again, we're visiting with Joelle Moray. She's with Integrate Wellness, based out of Wheeling, West Virginia. Joelle, what is the thing you're most excited about for your company, your business right now?
Oh, the growth. It is growing exponentially.
Amazing.
And in ways that, thank you. And in ways that I never, initially saw. It's so fascinating that even a year ago, 2 years ago, man, the company looks way different now than it did then.
Yeah.
You know, you make a business plan and you're like, well, that's old news. You know, we've already evolved all the way over here.
Of course, yeah. That's very important too, for people to catch. You know, you have a business plan, you got to be willing to adapt as the market shifts, right?
The market shifts, you learn more things, you test something, it might not work the way you thought it was. You're like, well, we're getting rid of that service, maybe we'll add this other thing in.
And another thing that gets overlooked, I feel a lot of times, especially with service providers, is, oh, well, that's not profitable. Well, let's not do that anymore, right? We'd like to do it, but you can't make any money at it. So you can focus on the things that are going to be valuable to the marketplace, but also valuable to you. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm actually starting to hire people now, which is so exciting.
Love it, yeah.
And I'm sort of evolving out of the role of operator and into the kind of the role of CEO, right?
Yeah.
Which is such a cool space to be in, and it just keeps growing and growing. And
Amazing.
It's amazing you can do that from West Virginia.
Yeah, it's very cool. So talk a little bit about the specific things that you do. Like, what are you doing? Workshops? Are you doing keynote speeches? You have a book. I want to talk about the book for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, all the above. So fundamentally, I'm a public speaker. I've been doing actually public speaking for many years, decades even, but always on the behalf of the organizations I was working for, and now it's my own voice, I guess. So keynotes, whether that's, you know, an annual dinner, right, chamber annual dinner, or industry conference, or what have you, and then also workshops. So a keynote is more like I show up, walk out on stage, talk to you for a while, head back out, and that's the end of it. A workshop is a much deeper dive, right? I'm with you for maybe 90 minutes, maybe a half day, maybe a full day. So we have all sorts of ways that workshops can look. They can be virtual, they can be in person. I have a lot of clients that are nowhere near the state of West Virginia, so we do just a lot of different things. It can be a lunch and learn. It can be a retreat just for the leadership team, which is a very common thing that we do. We usually start with the leadership team, and then they say, when can you come back? We need the rest of the team to hear this. And then I have a program that's actually a 12-month program. So we're with you for 12 months. And with that continual touch point of recurring touch point, it really helps integrate the wellness into the culture of your company. That's where the name comes from.
That's really great.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your book.
Oh, yes, my book. Oh,
You have a copy of it.
I do. I have a copy of it right here.
Yeah,
here we go. There it is. It is called What Are We Doing? With an exclamation point.
That's great.
Radical Self-Care for the Hustle Culture. This book has been something I've wanted to accomplish for a long time, right? It's one of those mountains I really wanted to climb. I mean, since I was in college, I wanted to do this.
Yes.
And, you know, have different ideas about different books throughout the years, but this one kind of finally came together. So it was published last year in 2024, and it's available on Kindle, paperback, hardback, and Audible. So if you're an audio listener, you can go to Audible or iTunes.
Did you read your own book?
I did.
That's
on the Audible.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. So my dad was a writer. We lost him in 2023, but he was a writer. Thank you very much. And he worked for a publication in Wheeling, West Virginia, The Intelligencer.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm an old newspaper guy. That's how I got my start in the business. Yeah.
Yes, you understand. So he worked for the Nuttings for many years.
Awesome.
And he was award-winning, very highly decorated. He was actually nominated for a Pulitzer at one point.
Oh, wow.
And so he was actually helping me with this book.
That's great.
And so when we lost him, I sort of put it to bed for a while and then kind of came back to it. But it was a labor of love, and I'm so thrilled that it's actually a real thing that's in the world now, and probably a second book coming sometime soon as well.
Well,
so,
if you don't mind, share the journey of that. Like, in other words, how does one go about writing the book?
Great question. So to speak technically, you start with an outline, or you start with your idea. You know, what do I want to say, right? What's the story I want to tell? And by the way, I think everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has something interesting that's happened to them, some adversity you've overcome, something that's happened in your life that you're like, I think this could help somebody else, right? Or maybe you're a fiction writer. I'm not a fiction writer. I wish I was. I love reading fiction, but my brain doesn't work that way. So first you come up with your idea, then you sort of write an outline and kind of what you want to come up with. A nonfiction book is typically somewhere between 30 to 50,000 words, and mine's right in the middle there, about 44,000 words. And then on the publishing end, there are three basic ways for publishing. You can self-publish, you can do traditional publishing, which is with the big houses, Random, Penguin, whatever, HarperCollins. or you can do what's called hybrid. I did what's called hybrid.
Yeah.
So basically I have a publisher, and also I did some of it myself too.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a nice entry point to do the hybrid way.
Love it.
And that's what I did.
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's very cool.
It's a bestseller on Amazon, which is so cool.
Yay.
So cool. I'm like, wow, people read my words.
That's amazing.
It's so cool.
Well, just hearing you speak, I'm kind of compelled with this question is like, what's the goal of the book that you have? In other words, do you have a purpose behind the actual book?
Yes, I love that question. The goal of this book is to get people and organizations to think differently about the way we approach work, plain and simple. The book sort of ends with this kind of rally cry of like, let's do something different here, right? It's not a denunciation of ambition, but rather, let's all go behind. I'm a high achiever. My goodness, I walked away from a really successful career to go out on my own, wrote a book, all the things.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows me knows I'm a high achiever. We can be super high achieving, but we don't have to burn ourselves out. And so my goal of this book is that someone reads it, or a leader of an organization reads it and goes, I think we can take some of the things in here and maybe apply it to our team.
Yeah. Are you able to give us maybe an example of something that people can use? I'm a pragmatist, maybe a practical application of something that people can do that maybe they're not thinking about in their work and their career path.
Yep, chapter 7. It's called The Right to Disconnect. I think it's chapter 7. I think it is.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. How about that?
That's
I
great.
knew it.
All right.
The Right to Disconnect.
What is that all about?
So the Right to Disconnect is actually the name of some legislation that occurs in other countries. Countries like Italy and France and Portugal and Germany and lots of other countries. And the Right to Disconnect says this: employees have the right to disconnect after hours, on the weekends, and when they're on vacation without retribution from the employer. So employers cannot ask or even have an unspoken expectation of availability when you are off.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I want organizations to take away, it's that.
It's really
right?
important.
And so we see a lot. And we've all done this, myself included, by the way. I'm not speaking from some pulpit of evolution over here. I've done it too. But we have all done it where we're like, hey, I'm going away for the weekend, but I got my phone with me. I'm reachable.
Yeah.
Right? We've all done that.
Yeah.
And so the Right to Disconnect is one of the easiest ways we can kind of disrupt that.
It's almost like it's a compulsion. I feel like we have maybe a sense of loyalty, or maybe it's a sense of fear. Like, hey, if I don't do this, somebody else is going to step in and do my,
Yep. It's usually based on fear.
Yeah.
What will other people think of me? I haven't done enough. Have I done enough? Am I showing up enough? That kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's the proverbial slippery slope, because you do it once and the next thing you know, I'm in the mountains. I don't have service. But then you're on top of the mountain trying to get service, holding your phone up or whatever.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. Yeah,
Yes.
I could see it happening. That's great. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
Folks, we're back. We're visiting once again with Joelle Moray. She's with Integrate Wellness. She's got a book out. It's called What Are We Doing? ? Exclamation point. I love it. And thanks for sharing your book journey. That's really interesting. I think a lot of people are interested in hearing about how that whole process goes. So talk a little bit about your geographic reach. You said you have clients in different states and so forth, but if you could maybe mention, a little bit about that. Like, where are your customers?
Everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. So I have obviously clients here in West Virginia as well, and love those. That's my base. And we work a lot, again, sometimes virtually, sometimes in person. Just kind of depends on what they want and where they are and how many employees they have and all that sort of stuff. But I have a lot of clients that aren't here, especially when it comes to that sort of keynote speaking type of thing, right? Different people have different conferences and things.
You get on a plane, you're going to go pop in for a conference, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. So
this year, we're recording this here in July, if I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah.
And then July's a little quiet, which always happens. I trend for that, so to speak. So July's a little little light, which is typical. But then August and September, I'm going to be in Dallas, Cincinnati, Washington, D.C., Greensboro, North Carolina, L.A., and then later this year, I'm going to Hartford, Connecticut.
That's amazing. So, that's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, and then Oregon next year too, 2026.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we go everywhere.
So as you've started to integrate wellness, and you've been working with teams and individuals, companies, what's the probably the, I don't know if you could even say it, most interesting, but what's the kind of wildest thing you've seen since you've been in business?
Wildest thing I've seen from the organizations?
Yeah.
So I will say this. I work with everyone from really small nonprofits all the way up to professional sports teams.
Wow.
Okay. And one of the most interesting things to me is people are the same. So it really doesn't matter if you are a bank in West Virginia, located in West Virginia, or if you are in the NFL.
Wow.
People are people. And that has surprised me a little bit. I would think, there's this big, fancy organization I get to work with in the NFL, which I do. The Dallas Cowboys are actually a client of mine, which is so cool.
I love it.
And so, wow, that's so cool and that's so interesting. And it is super exciting and super fun. However, what I see their team experiencing is exactly what I see when I work with a nonprofit in the state of West Virginia in terms of the pressure people feel to perform, right? And all of that. I will say that some of the stories I hear, some of these are in my book, some I've learned since then, are things like women taking their laptops with them to the hospital when they're going in to give birth.
Oh my goodness.
You are laying in a hospital room somewhere waiting to have a medical procedure, a colonoscopy or something. And, someone dings you and they're like, do you have anesthesia yet? I just got a quick question. And people are answering those calls. And we see this all the time, And so those are some of the wild things I'm seeing. Yeah. Or you see,
people are people.
People are people no matter if you, again, are in a nonprofit or you work for the Dallas Cowboys. It seems to be the same.
Joelle, you have a really interesting background because you've got this clinical side that you're working on now and have your master's degree in that. But you also have an integrated marketing communications, an IMC degree from WVU Masters.
Yep.
And that's a great program. We have some people in our company that have that and have had that over the years. Obviously, you bring a marketing component to your business, and not a lot of people have that. I'm myself am a marketer. I'm curious, starting in marketing your own business, how do you get new customers? How do you get these clients across the country and professional sports teams and everything like that? How do you get that? How does it work?
This is going to break your heart as a marketer, but most of it is referral and word of mouth. Yeah. It is just it's still the gold standard, Some comes from social media for sure, but usually, if I'm speaking somewhere and then someone hears me and they're like, oh, I would love for you to come to my team in Chicago, or man, my, whatever, my spouse or my cousin or whoever, man, they could really use this information too. So a lot of it is they're sort of in the audience when I'm speaking somewhere else, or a referral, from someone.
Yeah, and truthfully, 100% full disclosure, that's how I built InnerAction Media. Our core business over the last 15 years is through referral marketing. Yeah. Referral marketing, right?
Yeah.
Because it is marketing. It's just a different way of looking at it. And it's often been said that word of mouth is the most powerful form of a new business lead or a referral or. It
is when somene's worked with you and they can sort of give that testimonial and say, hey, she came and spoke at our annual dinner, or man, it was great, or just getting that audience feedback, or hey, she did a retreat for our team and this is our outcomes that came from that.
Yeah, absolutely. What really I've found, it kind of like to your point, it doesn't break my heart. It actually reaffirms it. But what happens is that social media, having a great website, having a book, having a podcast, having great video content out there, having social media, having advertising in traditional sense, is very important. Even more so because when you get that referral, that word of mouth referral or recommendation, people often look you up and they want to say, oh, okay.
Yeah.
How is Joelle do? How what does she have to say about this? And then they'll almost reaffirm their own referral that they've gotten to say, this is legit. Right.
Yeah, and what we're seeing too is the outcomes, right? So companies want to know, what was the outcome, right? What's the data? What's the data point?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so that's an area that we're super excited about now, is collecting data. So when one company refers to another and they say, what was the outcome for your team? And they say, oh, we've had an 8% improvement in employee retention, or whatever it is, then that's really helpful too. So,
well, I think that's important, because it's more than just, oh, Joelle, she's great, you have to get her.
Yeah, exactly. There's some data there.
Yeah, quantitative data.
Yep. And I'm actually working can I talk about this?
Yeah,
This is an area that
course.
we're super excited about right now. We're actually doing some research now, which is so cool. I'm so excited. And I'm doing some research in the state of Ohio and some in West Virginia. And this is primarily with educators, K-12 educators. And we are working
Talk about burnout.
Yeah, for sure. So in the 2024 school year, I worked with Ohio County Schools in Wheeling, and then another school district in the state of Ohio.
Okay.
And the school district in the state of Ohio, we are now working to do some actual research on some of this stuff. So the thing we're trying to measure there is teacher engagement, because that's what they're seeing a lack in. In Ohio County Schools, what we were measuring was teacher attendance, right? So, lots of teachers are calling off. We don't have enough subs to fill the slots. And so I came in and said, well, instead of trying to get more subs, let's fix why teachers are calling off so much, right? So we can do this with companies too. So the ones who work with me on the 12-month ongoing program, we measure along the way. So we establish a baseline in the beginning, we measure at the halfway point, and then we measure again at the end to see how this program has actually affected them. And now I'm working on some really exciting big project to do a statewide, in West Virginia, a statewide workforce development pilot to see how workplace wellness programs actually impact employee engagement, retention, and their mental health at work.
Awesome.
So,
and with your,
so excited for that.
With your background in economic development, workforce development is part of that. So it's perfect. You've got the greatest skill set to really come across and add value to the conversation, for sure.
I think I appreciate that a lot. And I think what I'd really like people to hear is this is a workforce development employee engagement strategy, right? This goes way beyond, let me teach you some mindfulness, right? Yeah. It's so much deeper than that. Yeah. This is a business strategy to keep your people there.
I love it. What's the vision you have long-term for the company?
So many things. I think if you ask me in a year from now, this answer might change. Sure, and a year ago, it was probably different. So first of all, getting some of these research pilots going, these workforce development things going. I'm really excited about that. Working with some people to try to even get some of those findings published in some peer-reviewed journals, and then seeing if we can roll this out nationally, right? Like, how do these programs actually impact people at work? So that's one piece. Another piece is we're now developing some technology to go with it. So right now, this is human beings coming in and teaching you in real time some of these skills and learning what burnout actually is and how your mental health is affected at work. Now we're developing technology so that we don't have to be with you all the time. So in the technology, there's a user interface on the front end, which will be for employees. So employees check in, how are you doing today? And based on how they answer that, they'll be given a quick 5-minute tool to help whatever that is, whether it's overwhelm, whether it's stress, anxiety, depression, whatever it is. Or even if they're saying, you know what, I feel pretty good. Well, great, here's something for you then today too. And then on the back end, there's a leadership dashboard where the leadership team can kind of monitor employees' mental health. And this is done anonymously and with all the confidentiality in the world as well. So I don't want anyone to come at me with that.
No, that's great.
But so that's a piece I'm super excited about. Very exciting. Lots of growth.
What's the biggest thing that's maybe holding you back in terms of like achieving those things, those goals?
Funding.
Yeah.
Yep, funding, and we're scaling. So hiring people, funding. And I would think any business, whether you are a bakery or a bank or a service provider like myself, I think those two things are probably
cash flow.
Cash flow. That's right. Don't run out of cash. Right. It's like 5 words in business. And so funding to get something, to get that technology developed, funding to get the research pilot going, which we're working on now.
Yeah, that's good.
And then also scaling to bring in enough staff so that we can scale this.
Joelle, you're a leader of your business. You're a leader in the community. You're a leader across the country with your clients.
Thank you.
What do you think is one of the most important attributes of a successful business leader today?
I think to practice what you preach, for sure. I think one of the biggest attributes for leaders today is to truly take the time to understand what's affecting your people, right? If someone is doing some things, this is something that I teach as well. If someone is having some behaviors, whether they are overproducing or they seem like they're burning the midnight oil a lot, and sometimes we have to do that, right?
Yeah,
sometimes,
season,
whatever the season is, you have deadlines, you have different things, right? I would never do this with a tax accountant office in April, right?
Exactly,
You got some deadlines, right? People have grant writing season, other deadlines. I'm talking about normal times when you notice your people are like hyper achieving, they're overachieving, or they're scaling way back. They're avoiding. Their office door is always closed. They're they're not as engaged as they once were. Their creativity isn't quite there. They're not really collaborating with coworkers. Noticing some of those patterns and really being in tune to it. And rather than coming in and saying, Jim, you're just not stepping up. We got a problem here, but actually going, what's up? Right? Yeah. How are you? What's going on here? I've noticed this, and it's just not like you, right? Being curious about what is going on with people and giving them permission to have the right to disconnect when they need it.
Yeah, that's chapter 7.
It is.
That's awesome.
But I think people really struggle with that permission, as we talked about before. Like, what will people think if I step back?
Absolutely. Joelle, we've covered a lot in this interview. Is there anything else you think our listeners should know about your story?
Yeah, I think in terms of this being Positively West Virginia, you can do anything from here.
Yeah.
West Virginia is an incredible place. I'm a graduate of Leadership West Virginia. I know a lot of your listeners are as well. Yeah. And when you go around the state of West Virginia and you see the things that are being made here and the innovation and the research that's happening at both WVU and Marshall, the state of West Virginia, WVU is leading the country in Alzheimer's research, for example, right? Yeah. We've got amazing products, tangible products being built here. It's just an incredible place for innovation. So think bigger, though. I feel like sometimes we think so small. We think like, oh, have you worked with this organization or this organization? And when people ask me that, very well intended, they're always within West Virginia, right? And when I say I'm going to Oregon or I'm going to Dallas or I'm going to Connecticut, they're like, oh, why? Well, why wouldn't I, right? Yeah. So you can do anything from here. Yeah. Don't limit yourself to the confines of this beautiful, amazing state.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do anything from here.
And with a book, I mean, it's global.
It is.
You know, you're getting the word out there.
It is.
So congratulations again on
Thanks.
that. I wish you much success. I think it's amazing. Joelle, as we close out our time, how can our listeners learn more about Integrate Wellness and maybe even get in touch with you?
Yeah, simply my website, which is my name, actually. I need to change it to Integrate Wellness. See, so many scalability things. I need people. JoelleMoray.com, very easy, simply JoelleMoray.com. And all the social medias. I'm primarily on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, just at Joelle Moray.
Can they get your book there too as well?
They can get the book on BarnesNoble.com or Amazon or Audible.
Yeah, okay, great. And you mentioned that. We'll put links to all that in the show notes and on social media.
Thank you.
When this comes out. It's been great. Our guest once again is Joelle Moray. She's with Integrate Wellness out of the Wheeling area, West Virginia. Joelle, it's been an honor to have you on the podcast.
Thanks.
I think what you're doing is really amazing. I think it's much needed in the marketplace, not just here in West Virginia, but around the planet, really. Workplace burnout and the way we approach work. And making sure that we don't burn out and we can add value to people as we go along.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been a real treat.
It's been a lot of fun.
I've
enjoyed our conversation. So
Me too.
Thanks for being here.
Me too.
Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on our show, drop us a note on our website at positivelywv.com. And of course, we appreciate your encouragement along the way, sharing the great stories like that of Joelle Moray and her company, Integrate Wellness, and all the things that she's doing. We definitely appreciate that. You're our greatest marketing asset when you pass the word along and share it on your social media. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Jimmy Murray behind the controls, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, InnerAction Media, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, Visit positivelywv.com/sponsor.